From the Pep Radio Newsroom, these are the latest stories we are following at this hour. ABC News is reporting that the Rainbow Youth Project, a national LGBTQ advocacy group, typically fields almost 800 calls a month on its crisis outreach hotline. In just 10 days, as the 2024 presidential election came to a head, the organization told ABC News it received roughly 5,460 calls. Organizers say they were prepared for calls to spike, given that the LGBTQ community, and specifically the transgender population, has been a subject of debate in this election cycle, but they weren't prepared for the overwhelming call volume. Some callers had to wait on hold over the weekend for operators, something they've never had to do before, Executive Director Lance Preston said in an interview. Callers weren't just from the LGBTQ community, and they weren't just in need themselves. Preston staff were fielding calls from parents, grandparents, teachers, pastors, and others asking how they can help their community members. The Rainbow Youth Project is not alone. LGBTQ hotlines nationwide are seeing massive surges amid the fallout of the election, as LGBTQ plus Americans and their loved ones search for answers, reassurance, and guidance about future LGBTQ rights in America. The Trevor Project, an LGBTQ youth suicide prevention organization, said it saw an overall crisis outreach volume increase of nearly 700% on November 6th alone, compared to the weeks prior. And now this news from Columbus. The Ohio Senate on Wednesday approved a ban on transgender students using bathrooms that fit their gender identities and sent the measure to Republican Governor Mike DeWine. The Republican-backed bill applies to public K-12 schools and institutions of higher education. It requires the schools to designate separate bathrooms, locker rooms, and overnight accommodations for the exclusive use of either males or females based on one's gender assigned at or near birth in both school buildings and facilities used for a school-sponsored event. The legislation would not apply to school employees, emergencies, or people helping young children or those with disabilities, and schools would still be able to provide single-use and family bathroom facilities. State Senator Jerry Serino, a Kirtland Republican, said the bill is about safety and security. The ACLU of Ohio urged the governor not to sign the measure, which it condemned as a violation of the right of privacy of LGBTQ plus Ohioans that will make them feel less safe. At least 11 states have adopted laws barring transgender girls and women from girls' and women's bathrooms at public schools and in some cases other government facilities. The laws are in effect in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Utah. A judge's order putting enforcement on hold is in place in Idaho. And finally, the Philadelphia Inquirer is reporting that the Central Bucks School Board voted Tuesday to retire a ban on transgender athletes, saying it would evaluate any concerns on a case-by-case basis. The vote was a formality. The board, which flipped to Democratic control last year, had already suspended the ban, enacted by the former GOP majority a year earlier, to align the district with federal and state regulations. But the move touched off debate Tuesday in a community that has battled over culture war issues and where former President Donald Trump's re-election last week resurrected partisan divides. Several residents accused the board of endangering and taking opportunities from girls who could be forced to compete with stronger athletes, but expressed confidence the move would soon be reversed by Trump, who has pledged to roll back transgender protections. Others applauded the board for repealing the policy, saying that transgender students would be further marginalized by a ban and that Central Bucks should prioritize inclusion. Some Democratic board members were also grappling with the election results, with one invoking the conservative Heritage Foundation's Project 2025 policy plan and pledging that the board would serve as a buffer against adverse federal changes. For more details on the stories covered in today's newscast, turn to the PEP Radio page on the Pennsylvania Equality Project website. Be sure to download the Live 365 app to be able to take PEP Radio wherever you go. And if you're watching this newscast on YouTube, be sure to click the subscribe button and like our newscasts. That's the news at this hour. Now back to more music on PEP Radio.